I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked people. I was on the counter, and I really loved going and doing what I was doing in the pharmacy because I found something that I really loved doing. I was a very, very naive young person, and there were things that they sold at the dispensary that I had never heard of. So I had a very dramatic introduction. I was on the counter this day, and a lady came in and she wanted some orthogonal gel. I didn't know what it was. And I called out to Jan, who used to work there, "Oh, where will I find such and such?" And it was always kept under the cash register, wrapped up in brown paper. So she goes, "Shh." And everybody looked at me and I thought, what have I done? So when I come up to her, I said, "What is it?" She said, "Ask your mother." So when I got home, I was sitting around the table with Mum and Dad, and they were very conservative people. You didn't talk about anything like that, not with my father anyway. And I sat at the table and I said, "What is orthogonal gel?" Dad nearly choked on his steak. And Mum said, "What do you want to know?" Well, then Mum explained to me what it was. So the next day I went to work, and Gerard Leeman was the apprentice. And he comes to me, he hands me the Permadex with all the prices. And he said, "I want you to go down and I want you to write out a new price list and remember every one of those things so you won't ever get caught again." Mr. Hislop was a lovely boss. You couldn't have got a better boss. We just got on famously. He very rarely ever called me Beth. He used to call me Titch. And he'd often sit in with me, and I've always had a very good memory, and all the scripts that were PBS or PMS scripts, they were coded, and I had a memory and I could always remember the codes. And he'd sit there and say, "What's so-and-so?" I used to be downstairs, and if the scripts came in, there'd be the PMS scripts or the PBS scripts. You would have to code them and price them. That was for the government. And then the other scripts that were private, or they were in the lodge got a discount, so you'd have to work it all out, and the pharmacists upstairs would make it up. But quite a lot of medications up there used to come already made, and they were in big bottles, big round bottles. They used to just pour that, give them a shake and pour them into 8-ounce or 6-ounce bottles, and that's how they did them. Well, it depended if it was a government scrip or a pensioner scrip, and they were just like as they are today. Well, you'd look up the book and you'd find its code and how much they are, and you'd put the code number and you'd put the price. The doctor would write out a script on a pad, all in their writing, which was very hard to read. Then you would have to work out how much that was, plus the bottle, plus the dispensing. And then you'd get your price, and then you'd label and send it up. All done on a typewriter. And a real old Remington, I think it was, or something. Yes. They had what do you call them? A pulley. And you'd put them in this box, and it was right in the corner, and you'd put it all in there and you'd wind it up, and they'd take it from there. And then when the scripts came down and done, they'd put them in that and they'd come down. I'd take them out and put them on the shelves. The scripts that had to go to the government, they had to all be done and processed, and I used to do a lot of that for Mr. Hislop too. And also the DD drugs, the dangerous drugs, I used to write them up for the government as well, what we did. And I was allowed to actually dispense all that sort of thing. That all had to be done, and quite often I used to do that for him too. I think just about every aspect that I worked there I did. But it was a real pleasure, and I thoroughly enjoyed working there, absolutely.